This morning I was getting ready to create on book paper using modeling paste, and I thought, hey, maybe I should just show you guys what I'm doing because it is probably a little more unique. Most people wouldn't think to put something heavy like a modeling paste on just really thin card book paper, vintage book paper. But I am actually going to then take that what we created today, what I'm going to show you, and put it on a card because I was looking to make some floral or botanical cards, and I thought, hey, I'm just going to etch into the modeling paste and then do a glaze over the top. So I'll be curious if you guys what you guys think of these, and if you give it a try, let me know because it is a little bit unique, and I would highly recommend that you wait till it's dry, which I did not in the video, and so I have a little bit of a little smearing, but I kind of want to get to the end so to show you guys the whole finished product. But anyway, I would recommend that you wait and give it the modeling paste time to dry before you plow on through like I did today. So anyway, have fun, and let's get started. Okay, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the supplies we're going to be using for this, starting with the substrate, which is the bottom piece, is just going to be book paper that you can pull out of any old book. I definitely like to use older book paper. I like the patina of it. So, but any old book that you have or new book, doesn't really matter because we're going to be covering it anyway. The next thing you're going to need is I used black gesso. Now, you could use black paint or any kind of dark color. It could be, brown or Payne's gray or whatever you want to use, and it doesn't have to be gesso. So, and I'm just using that because I want to use a black background with the modeling paste over the top. So this was next. I used like a 1-inch flat brush for that. The next thing is some modeling paste. Now I have this massive tub. You do not need something this big. I did big projects with modeling paste, and so I was buying it in these huge gallon containers. You do not need something that big, but modeling paste or even some kind of, even probably a gel medium or something like that would work if it was thick too, so that we can carve into it. Next, you're going to need some carving tools. Now, I keep all kinds of old random. A lot of these are from pottery, that you would find. When I find these old tools like this, I keep them for their ends and for their tips. Sometimes I have old sticks, even a paintbrush that maybe is, destroyed, or a paintbrush, tip or end. So anyway, just keep any old tool that you can find. I think I use this one in the video, so because it has a tip to it that you can scrape, because we're going to do some scraping. You're going to need a palette knife to spread your modeling paste, although you could also use just a credit card or some other kind of flat device. The colors I used were fluid because I wanted them as glazes. And you can buy glazing mediums, but in this case, I just felt like I'll just use what I have on hand. I tried to use more, colors that were more transparent. So I used the transparent iron oxide, green gold, transparent red iron oxide, and the sepia colors. And these are all in fluid. They would not have to be the golden, but whatever you have that is, and you could water something down as well. And I have done that in the past, used a thicker body paint and then just watered it down. I also used a spray bottle of water and some paper towels. And I also used a little bit of this paper, which I am blanking on the name, sandpaper. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I also used some sandpaper to kind of sand off the modeling paste where the ridges were a little bit higher. And I also used a mop brush to apply the paint when I was using it as a glaze. I wanted something that could hold a lot of water and that could spread the paint around very easily. So I believe that's everything that I used, and let's get started with the project. The first step is we're going to take our black gesso, and just on each of these sheets that I've pulled out of a book, we're going to just do a quick coat of black gesso across the top. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I might leave that number right there because I do like numbers. So this should just take a few seconds. And it could be that you leave a streak like that. For these purposes, I think I'm going to actually try to cover most of that because I'm going to add a layer over the top. But I'm going to leave my numbers for now, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, let's do this last one. Sorry, I'm trying to get these all arranged here. Okay, let's get this last one done. Then I'm going to pause, let this dry. I could use my heat tool, but I think I'll just let it dry naturally, and then we will come back with the next layer. Okay, so now the black gesso is dry, and I'm going to take my palette knife and just apply a thin layer of the modeling paste. So let me turn this a little bit. I think that would be easier to scrape that on. And I'm not going to be too particular about it, other than I do want to get a decent coat on here. And I am using it, normally I wouldn't put it in a little jar, but for the sake of showing it, since my tub is so big, it just made more sense to kind of dish some out. And I do want to leave a little bit of the black showing. I like that. Okay. All right. So before this dries, I'm going to set this aside over here, and then I have my tool that I'm going to carve into it. And for these, I am actually going to do the three that I'm going to show you today. I'm going to do like some kind of jar or vase with some kind of makeshift flowers coming out of it. So, we'll just kind of see how it goes. And the nice thing is, if I don't like what it is, I can take my palette knife and smooth it back out and start over. So it's kind of like an eraser, and it's, it really doesn't matter. So, and for me, the wonkier, the better. So, and I might want to do a double. Let's see here. I might want to grab a paper towel. Good idea too, so I can get my lines to show up a little bit better. And I do kind of like a double line. I'm going to do a thin, kind of almost. Well, I'm going to show you. I'm not really liking the shape of that, so I'm going to start over on this one. So just it's as easy as that. Fresh slate. So, okay, so I'm going to start with a narrow top. I better wipe that off. A narrow top, and just kind of want a jar vase, like a bud vase. And obviously this isn't even. Let's see here. And I want to go over it a couple times so I have a little bit of I like a straight bottom, I think is what I want. And then I want it to kind of curve out. So straight and curve out there. And then the top is going to go here. So there we go. Okay, so for my flowers, I'm just going to do something very simple. I'm going to draw a line, and then I'm just going to draw some circles along the stem, I guess is what you'd call it. But okay, so there's that one. Let me do another. Let's do a better circle there. Okay. So then the next one I'm going to do over here, and I might want to have varied, the heights and how many are on each one. Sometimes I do like to go around a couple times. And then let's do one more, as I do like, maybe, here's the thing. I'm actually thinking I want this one to go a little straighter. So because it's still wet and it takes a long time to dry, I'm going to go over this, and I'm going to run this a little bit straighter so that, there we go, so that they're all slightly different and yet kind of the same. Obviously they would be considered the same. I might put one more on the end here on this, the same type of flower, just kind of coming out of this bud vase. And I think I'm going to add a little kind of like a top to that vase, and add another little one there. And I don't like this little dot in the middle on this one, so I'm going to scrape that one out. And I'm also going to, let's see, kind of scrape a little bit of this around too. So let's do that one again and run that through there. So you can see, you can just kind of go over and over it again, and it doesn't really matter. And then, okay. All right. Okay, so there we go. There's the first one, and I'm going to do each one of them slightly different, but I'm going to put this aside and get ready for the next one. Decided I wanted to add, since I've added a little something else to the other two, I decided I'm going to add a little something to this first one. And I'm not really sure what I want to add, but I do want to add something just to kind of, so it's not just the vase. So what I'm thinking is I might do just some little like, at first I was thinking I would write a word, but I don't think I want to do that right for this one. I think I'm just going to do it. My second favorite mark is these little X's. They're not X's, they're T's, or they're a cross, or they're a plus sign, or whatever. So I think I'm just going to add some, and I'm not going to actually worry about how much they show up. It's more like it's just going to be a little bit in the background. So just a little to add a little bit of interest on these, on the side, you know what I mean? Like just around. So I don't know, maybe that was a mistake, but I think I wanted to add just a little bit in. So there you go. We're gonna let these dry and then we're gonna glaze them. Okay, so all three of them are fairly dry. This one is the thickest and it definitely is not quite as dry. I did use a dryer, a heat tool on them to kind of speed up, because typically what I would do using modeling paste is I would probably just set them aside and let them dry overnight. But in this case, I wanted to kind of show you exactly what I do. So with your hand, you can scrape off a lot of the top. There's like little pieces, or you can take a piece of sandpaper and just kind of lightly go over the top to get those high ridges. You know, there's some pieces that kind of pop up. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want. I do like a lot of texture, so I wouldn't be one that would, you know, probably sandpaper it down too much, but a little bit is okay. So I'm just going to do each one of these, and this one, like I said, isn't quite dry, so I'll be curious if we're able to, how it's going to turn out, because it could be that the modeling paste will mix with, we do the glaze over the top, but that's okay. It's kind of just for the sake of experiment. And I just wanted to show you what I was working on today. So let's see here. Okay, I think that's pretty good. It feels fairly smooth. And then this last one, I think I put the least amount on, so it isn't very rough at all. Okay, so I'm gonna start, I'm gonna scrape all this away. I'm gonna start with the first one I did, and I think I've chosen, now I'm hoping this turns out because I don't really know. I've chosen a few colors. I'm going to start with transparent yellow iron oxide on this one. I'll set these two aside. I have a fluffier paintbrush, which is like a mop brush, a round mop. This is a 3/4 inch. And I'm going to put a little bit, and I'm going to get it damp. I have water over here. I'm going to get it damp, and then I'm going to pour, actually, you know what? I think I'm just going to put it straight on. This is what I would do in real life is I would actually just put it straight onto the, well, maybe not. There we go. That was a big chunk. I would get this wet, and then I would spray it. And so, yeah, I might as well just show you what I'm doing in real life. I have my spray bottle versus my pretend life, right? So then I would just, and I can see I got a hair in there already from this brush, which I guess I could get off later. So, and this modeling paste is feeling kind of soft, so we'll see how it does with this. Okay, so I'm going to set my brush aside. I'm going to take a paper towel and I'm going to kind of pull up some of that paint. I can, I want it to go into the little crevices, but then I want to have some light spots as well. So like I might, take my brush, which probably still has some on it. Yes, it does. And, maybe go over a few more of the spots, maybe lift a little bit more up wherever I feel like I want to pull a little bit of color back. So it's as simple as that. I can see that there's some spots that were not quite dry right here. So it pulled up modeling paste and the paint with it. So, definitely wait a little bit longer than I did. But yeah, that's a great color. I might put a little bit more right there. Anyway, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is this. And for this one, I'm going to get my paintbrush wet again, set it in this jar, and I'm going to use the green gold. And actually, I think I'm going to squirt it first, and then I'm going to squirt some of this on. Okay, let's see what happens here. This is kind of a more vibrant green. So, and then we'll pull that off with our paper towel as soon as we get that. And this one, it does feel a little bright. So, but I'm going to set it aside after I pull some of this off, and I'm going to think about it because I could be that I'm going to add another color in, like a little bit darker color. So I do like it, but I'm going to think about it. And for this last one, I'm going to spray this first, I think, and I'm going to use this sepia color, which is, kind of a brownish color. And now, mind you, I'm not actually cleaning this brush. I'm using the same one over and over again. So it does have a little bit of the other previous colors on it. So anyway, this one was the thinnest of the modeling paste. So I think it's the driest, and it probably, and then see this, I thought I was going to really like this, but I think I'm going to, I think I'm going to add a different color with this one as well. So for this, I like, but I think, okay, let's come over to this one. I'm going to add some of this this brown that's sepia's on there. I see if I like that, not necessarily. I'm going to see if I like adding some of that actually from my brush. Let's just do that and see if I like how that looks. Kind of tone it down a little bit. Let's see. Let's put some of that in here. So as you can see, you can't totally get rid of what you had before when you're doing a glaze, but you can kind of modify it a little bit. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, tone it down, because that was a little bit bright for me. I like that better now. I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to maybe grab another color, and then we'll maybe add a little more depth to some of these. Okay, I've spent a couple minutes looking these over, and actually I started fiddling with this one, and this one was also kind of wet. I thought this one was my thickest one, and I was more careful with this one. This one, the modeling paste was also wet, and I kind of messed up a little bit, but I think I'm going to leave these two. I think this one, although I love brown, I think I'm going to add this one. These two I'm going to leave as is. So I'm just going to push them over here a little bit. And this one, I'm going to add a little bit of the transparent red iron oxide. Now this might be a mistake. I don't really know, but let's, hey, let's just go for it. So I'm going to spray a little bit again, just to kind of get the surface damp as I pour a little, or I squirt a little dab of this out. Now, honestly, most people wouldn't squirt it right onto there. They'd put it in a side dish and, but I'm just thinking this is kind of more for a glaze. So let's just see what happens. And I think this is kind of like, I don't know if you can see, it's a little bit orange. I think I'm going to like this better than the brown. Although that sepia color I too typically like. So let's just kind of pull a little bit up there and a little bit around here. Okay. Now I do want some areas of contrast, so it's not all exactly the same. And by that I mean, some areas where it's lighter and some areas where it's darker. So I do want the color to be mostly in where these flowers are. I do like how it's pooling right in through here, so I think I'll probably leave that. And I pull a little bit more up here. Okay, so I can see that I'm pulling up. This was still a little bit damp too. So good tip here is to, let it sit and dry, because the modeling paste does take a long time to dry, but I think you can get the gist of, you can create these simple little floral arrangements or botanical arrangements on used paper. And like I said, you can do it over and over again, because you can just keep scraping, as you saw in the example. And then what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to actually turn them into cards. I'm going to cut them. I have 5x7 cardstock, and I'm going to adhere those to that. So to that degree, I will probably show you once I get one on the cardstock as a final photo at the end of this video, when these have completely dried. And anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you try out the modeling paste, kind of scraping in, or designing your own botanicals on modeling paste to make small 5x7 cards. Okay, see you next time.